Welcome to the Hamsey Analytics Daily Market Commentary. I'm Pablo Navarro. Today is Monday, October 1st, 2012. For the market internals, the New York Stock Exchange advanced decline differential closed at 618. Nasdaq advanced decline differential closed at 348. We had 35 new 52-week highs for the S&P 500 and 2 new 52-week lows for the S&P 500. Very nice number of 52-week highs against 52-week lows on the S&P 500 today. For the volatility, 278,000 contracts traded on the VIX today, with 49 million in total premiums paid. For the dollar-weighted put-call ratio in October at 2.0, which is bullish, with 43% of the total premiums paid. On November at 0.36, which is bearish, with 12% of the total premiums paid. December 0.77, which is neutral, with 17% of the total premiums paid. And January at 0.27, which is bearish, with 15% of the total premiums paid. As you can see, the big numbers were in October, and they were bullish today, with 43% of the total premiums paid and a $2 weighted put-call ratio. Here we have the daily chart for SPX. We are 3.82, let's call it 4 handles up for the day, but we have an inverted hammer here. Not very bullish here on the reversal we had today. We were up 16 handles at a given point of the day in the morning after some good data from ISM, and then we sold off throughout the day. We're gonna look at the intraday action. One positive thing here to take out, we're still above 0 sigma at 1443.50, let's call it. So we're still at some bullish action here despite the reversal we had. Another important thing here is that we also have a green day, and we were able to hold up to the gains we had. The bad thing here was the reversal, and of course that we wanted to have a higher reading today. But other things on the chart, you can see here we have higher lows basically getting there, and here we have also a higher high, which is positive. We're gonna look at it on the hourly chart. Here we have the hourly chart, and we are right below weekly pivot. This week we're looking at 1444 as our weekly pivot, and below 1426, that's gonna be our support number 1. In case we break to the upside and we get higher prices, we're looking for 1459 and then 1477. 1412 is gonna be our support number 2. Remember, this week we might have a bigger range than usual. This is because on Friday we have non-farm payrolls, very important numbers coming out this week on Wednesday, Friday. So let's keep in mind all these levels we got here. We're gonna look at this 60-minute chart from here to look at what happened intraday. This is what I'm talking about. We started drifting off after this huge pop on the morning. We started going lower, but you can see here we're starting to get here a trend line on the downside with higher lows. Very important. We want to break after that, maybe come and test this trend line that we have here to the upside, maybe break this. The highs of today are going to be very important, and then if we could break this 1465 level, very important here, that would be very bullish here in the market, starting some consolidations here, and after that just start to rally from here. So important graphs here, you can see clearly. If we do this, we'll get this high with this one, this trend line, and again here we'll have it here. So some shorter term targets here, we're into a triangle here. 1441 looks like the lower range, and we're looking for 1468, that level 66 as our big range on the upside tomorrow. Those are important levels. We do want to break to the upside. In case we do break to the downside, we have the levels 1426, our weekly support number 1. For SPY, here we have the daily chart for SPY. We are below 0 sigma. We continue to have higher lows, which is kind of bullish, but today's candlestick was bearish. You could see this reversal from the highs, finishing almost at the lows of the day, which was not positive at all. As for targets, we're looking for 143 on the downside here and maybe 146.50 on the upside on the daily chart. If we look at the weekly support, pivot, and resistance, we are looking at 144.36 as our weekly pivot, and below that we're looking for 142.50 and 141. Those are the levels on the downside. On the upside, we're looking for 145.80, 147.65. Those are going to be our targets here on the daily chart, on the weekly support, pivot, and resistance. If we go to the 60-minute chart, here we have it. We have drawn the same pattern that we have on SPX, and here we're gonna get these targets here. Shorter term targets, 144, gonna be some support levels here, and we're looking for maybe 145.30, 145, depending on what time this is gonna happen tomorrow. So this triangle, very important to keep in mind. Maybe we get a breakout or breakdown. This will decide the trend for the market overall, so keep these levels in mind. For the Nasdaq ETF, here we have the Qs 0.10% lower for the day, and we are below weekly pivot of 68.84. In case we're gonna continue to go lower, 67.6 and 66.6 are gonna be our next targets on the downside. If we're gonna go higher from here, 69.82, 71.07. Those are gonna be the upside targets here. And if we look at this chart here on the hourly chart, we can see clearly that we are not having the same pattern that we have on SPX or SPY. We are finding some support here, trying to get some higher prices, but not at all. Maybe try to connect this point here, and we may be seeing some lower prices, maybe go to this 68.20, 25, around that level to find some support, and that would be in line also if we get one like this, 68, maybe some support here. But we'll have to watch. Nasdaq looks like it's getting more pressure than SPX here so far, so we're gonna have to watch these divergences being right now here on the very short term. IWM Russell 2000 ETF were 0.4% higher for the day, but still below weekly pivot of 83.92. From here, the levels we're watching, bullish signals from here, since we did not break the levels we talked about last week of 82.80, 82.50. We want those levels to hold, and the targets on the upside would be 85 and 86.60. Those are going to be our targets on the upside. In case we are not correct on our bias here on the IWM, maybe looking for 82.30 and 81.25. Those are going to be the downside target. Of course, to get to our second and first level, we would first have to break our resist support of 82.50, 82.80. Very important levels in our opinion, since it was the breakout from the inverse head and shoulders we had on the daily chart. Here you can see we have some support here forming, and looks like we may come and test this 83.40 level one more time before we're starting to rally here. Try to come back here, maybe test this level, and then try to take out this high. It's gonna be important also to take this 84.28, 85 level, 84.80 out. You can see here it has been support and resistance a couple of times, sorry. So important to hold the 83.40 and break the 84.50, 84.60 level here on the IWM. Now let's go to GLD. Here we have let's start with the daily chart for GLD, and we have today up 0.20% for GLD. Not great action. We were a lot higher in the morning and started selling off. We continue to be on positive territory. We kind of break out from this pattern we had here. We were talking about this bull flag, and we're gonna look at it in a shorter time range, but the pullback was not as bullish as we wanted to for us to finish at the highs of the day. On the support, pivot, and resistance, we did close above the weekly pivot of 170.97, let's call it 171. Our targets on the upside, 173.61 and 175. That's gonna be our targets here. You get the levels here, 175.25. Maybe if we get some numbers coming out of Friday, that would make it boost gold a little higher. Now let's go to this other chart and see what we were talking about. We were talking about this slowly going down, and we have this another one. Maybe we're trying to pull up higher and break this range from here. This high is going to be very important and close above it. That would take us to another high here on GLD and maybe try to run up to 175. We have a special offer by TradeStation. Get your Hansi Analytics proprietary indicators paid by TradeStation. Contact Active Traders office in Chicago, Peter Albino, at the number listed below. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.